Sri Namaha, and welcome to the Sri Vidya Temple's online classes in chanting. In the current session, we're going to be focusing on Sri Rudra Namakam. And the reason why we're doing this is because coming up in July of this year, 2023, we'll be having an Atirudram at the temple. So this series of sessions is designed to be a practice and review of Rudra Namakam. And hopefully we'll also have time to go into Chamakam as well. And just to let everyone know, we have already done a class in Namakam and Chamakam. So if anybody is very, very new to chanting Rudram, definitely they should watch those classes, and those are on the temple's YouTube channel. So in those classes, I would have broken down all of the lines into smaller pieces to make it easier for everyone. In this, in these sessions, I'm not going to be breaking things down in that way. It's going to be a little bit more of a fast-paced review and practice session. So I just wanted to make that clear. So the way that I would like to do these sessions is that I will start out by repeating the lines, maybe 2 times per line or 4 times per line. And for that part of the session, everybody will be muted and they can chant along with me. When I come to the end of a section, then I will see if anybody would like to repeat the lines with me, and they can get feedback on any swara issues or any pronunciation corrections or anything like that, or ask any questions. So as we go through, if there's a line that you're not sure about or that you have a question about, please make a note of that. And then when I come to the end of my repeating, you can feel free to ask your question. Okay, so I'm going to start my Shruti and we'll start the session.
Are we doing Laghu Nyasam or Rudram?
Oh, yes, thanks for reminding me. Yes, I'm going to start with Laghu Nyasam. So just to give a little heads up, Laghu Nyasam is typically what we do in the temple, and it's what most people would typically do before chanting Rudram, if they're just doing like 1 time of chanting or maybe 11 times of chanting by themselves. If you're in an event like a Maharudram or an Atirudram, then typically Mahanyasam will be chanted in the morning before the Rudram is chanted. So in that case, Laghu Nyasam might not be chanted. So during the event, we might not chant Laghu Nyasam every time. It might be Mahanyasam instead. But it's good just to start with this, just for the sake of being complete. So thanks for the reminder. We'll be starting with Laghu Nyasam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chant each line just 2 times. And I'm going to go all the way through to the dhyanam before I stop. Om Shuklam Dharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnan Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Athatmanam Shivatmanam Sri Rudra Rupan Dhyayet. Om Athatmanam Shivatmanam Sri Rudra Rupan Dhyayet. Shuddhasphadika Sankashan Trinetram Panchavakrakam. Shuddhasphadika Sankashan Trinetram Panchavakrakam. Gangadharam Dashabhujam Sarvabharana Bhushitam. Gangadharam Dashabhujam Sarvabharana Bhushitam. Nila
नीलग्रीवं शशाङ्काङ्कं नागयज्ञोपवीतिनं नीलग्रीवं शशाङ्काङ्कं नागयज्ञोपवीतिनं व्याघ्रचर्मोत्तरीयं च वरेण्यमभयप्रदम् व्याघ्रचर्मोत्तरीयं च वरेण्यमभयप्रदम् कमण्डलवक्षसूत्राणां धारिणं शूलपाणिनम् कमण्डलवक्षसूत्राणां धारिणं शूलपाणिनम् ज्वलन्तं पिङ्गलजटाशिखामुद्योतधारिणम् ज्वलन्तं पिङ्गलजटाशिखामुद्योतधारिणम् वृषस्कन्धसमारूढम् उमादेहार्धधारिणम् वृषस्कन्धसमारूढम् उमादेहार्धधारिणम् अमृतेनाप्लुतं शान्तं दिव्यभोगसमन्वितम् अमृतेनाप्लुतं शान्तं दिव्यभोगसमन्वितम् दिग्देवतासमायुक्तं सुरासुरनमस्कृतम् दिग्देवतासमायुक्तं सुरासुरनमस्कृतम् नित्यं च शाश्वतं शुद्धं ध्रुवमक्षरमव्ययम् नित्यं च शाश्वतं शुद्धं ध्रुवमक्षरमव्ययम् सर्वव्यापिनमीशानं रुद्रं वैरिष्वरूपिणम् सर्वव्यापिनमीशानं रुद्रं वैरिष्वरूपिणम् एवं ध्यात्वा द्विजः सम्यक् ततो यजनमारभेत् एवं ध्यात्वा द्विजः सम्यक् ततो यजनमारभेत् अथातो रुद्रस्नानार्चनाभिषेकविधिं व्याख्यास्यामः अथातो रुद्रस्नानार्चनाभिषेकविधिं व्याख्यास्यामः आदित एव तीर्थे स्नात्वा उदेत्य शुचिः प्रयतो ब्रह्मचारी शुक्लवासा देवाभिमुखस्थित्वा आत्मनि देवता स्थापयेत् आदित एव तीर्थे स्नात्वा उदेत्य शुचिः प्रयतो ब्रह्मचारी शुक्लवासा देवाभिमुखस्थित्वा आत्मनि देवता स्थापयेत् प्रजनने ब्रह्माधिष्ठतो पादयोर्विष्णुस्तिष्ठतो हस्तयोर्हरस्तिष्ठतो बाह्वोरिन्द्रस्तिष्ठतो जठरे अग्निस्तिष्ठतो हृदये शिवस्तिष्ठतो कण्ठे वसवस्तिष्ठन्तो वक्त्रे सरस्वती तिष्ठतो नासिकयोर्वायुस्तिष्ठतो नयनयोश्चन्द्रादित्यौ तिष्ठेताम् कर्णयोरश्विनौ तिष्ठेताम् ललाटे रुद्रास्तिष्ठन्तो मूर्ध्न्यादित्यास्तिष्ठन्तो शिरसि महादेवस्तिष्ठतो शिखायां वामदेवस्तिष्ठतो पृष्ठे पिनाकी तिष्ठतो पुरतः शूली तिष्ठतो पार्श्वयोः शिवशङ्करौ तिष्ठेताम् सर्वतो वायुस्तिष्ठतु ततो बहिः सर्वतो अग्निर्ज्वालामातः परिवृतस्तिष्ठतु सर्वेष्वङ्गेषु सर्वा देवता यथा स्थानं तिष्ठन्तु मां रक्षन्तु.
Okay, so I just realized that I only did those lines one time, but that's okay. You can ask about them later if there's any question. So now I'll go on starting from Agnirme Vachashritaha, and here I'll be repeating the lines 2 times.
अग्निर्मे वाचश्रितः अग्निर्मे वाचश्रितः वाग्हृदये वाग्हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि वायुर्मे प्राणे श्रितः वायुर्मे प्राणे श्रितः प्राणो हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि सूर्यो मे चक्षुषश्रितः सूर्यो मे चक्षुषश्रितः चक्षुर्हृदये चक्षुर्हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि चन्द्रमा मे मनसि श्रितः चन्द्रमा मे मनसि श्रितः मनो हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि दिशो मे श्रोत्रे श्रिताः दिशो मे श्रोत्रे श्रिताः श्रोत्रगं हृदये श्रोत्रगं हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आपो मे रेतसि श्रिताः आपो मे रेतसि श्रिताः रेतो हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पृथिवी मे शरीरे श्रिता पृथिवी मे शरीरे श्रिता.
In this line, notice how Shrita does not have a visarga following it. Most of the other words do have a visarga, like Shritaha or Shritaha. But in this particular line, it doesn't have one. So just please notice that and make sure you're just saying Shrita.
शरीरगं हृदये शरीरगं हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ओषधिवनस्पतयो मेलोमसुश्रुताः ओषधिवनस्पतयो मेलोमसुश्रुताः लोमानि हृदये लोमानि हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि इन्द्रो मे बले श्रितः इन्द्रो मे बले श्रितः बलगं हृदये बलगं हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पर्जन्यो मे मूर्ध्निःसृतः पर्जन्यो मे मूर्ध्निःसृतः मूर्धा हृदये मूर्धा हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ईशानो मे मन्यो श्रितः ईशानो मे मन्यो श्रितः मन्युर्हृदये मन्युर्हृदये हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आत्माम आत्मनिःसृतः आत्माम आत्मनिःसृतः आत्मा हृदये आत्मा हृदये.
Here, please notice, I believe there should be an upper swara on the in hridaye. I think there's just a typo in the text.
हृदयं मयि हृदयं मयि अहममृते अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पुनर्म आत्मा पुनरायुरागात् पुनर्म आत्मा पुनरायुरागात् पुनः प्राणः पुनराकूतमागात् पुनः प्राणः पुनराकूतमागात् वैश्वानरो रश्मिभिर्वावृधानः वैश्वानरो रश्मिभिर्वावृधानः अन्तस्तिष्ठत्वमृतस्य गोपाः अन्तस्तिष्ठत्वमृतस्य गोपाः.
Okay. Now I'm going to do the next section line by line. So where every danda occurs, that's the end of a line.
ॐ अस्य श्री रुद्राध्याय प्रश्नमहामन्त्रस्य अघोर ऋषिः अनुष्टुप् छन्दः संकर्षणमूर्तिस्वरूपो योऽसावादित्यः परमपुरुषः स एष रुद्रो देवता। ॐ अस्य श्रीरुद्राध्याय प्रश्नमहामन्त्रस्य अघोर ऋषिः अनुष्टुप् छन्दः संकर्षणमूर्तिस्वरूपो योऽसावादित्यः परमपुरुषः स एष रुद्रो देवता। नमः शिवायेति बीजम् नमः शिवायेति बीजम् शिवतरायेति शक्तिः शिवतरायेति शक्तिः महादेवायेति कीलकम् महादेवायेति कीलकम्। श्रीसाम्ब सदाशिवप्रसाद सिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगः श्रीसाम्ब सदाशिवप्रसाद सिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगः।
Okay, next we'll go into the Karanyasa.
ॐ अग्निहोत्रात्मने अङ्गुष्टाभ्यां नमः। ॐ अग्निहोत्रात्मने अङ्गुष्टाभ्यां नमः। दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने तर्जनीभ्यां नमः। दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने तर्जनीभ्यां नमः। चातुर्मास्यात्मने मध्यमाभ्यां नमः। चातुर्मास्यात्मने मध्यमाभ्यां नमः। निरूढवशुबन्धात्मने अनामिकाभ्यां नमः। निरूढपशुबन्धात्मने अनामिकाभ्यां नमः। ज्योतिष्ठोमात्मने कनिष्ठिकाभ्यां नमः। ज्योतिष्ठोमात्मने कनिष्ठिकाभ्यां नमः। सर्वक्रत्वात्मने करतलकरपृष्ठाभ्यां नमः। सर्वक्रत्वात्मने करतलकरपृष्ठाभ्यां नमः।
Now we'll do the Anganyasa.
अग्निहोत्रात्मने हृदयाय नमः। अग्निहोत्रात्मने हृदयाय नमः। दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने शिरसे स्वाहा। दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने शिरसे स्वाहा। चातुर्मास्यात्मने शिखायै वषट्। चातुर्मास्यात्मने शिखायै वषट्। निरूढपशुबन्धात्मने कवचाय हुम्। निरूढपशुबन्धात्मने कवचाय हुम्। ज्योतिष्ठोमात्मने नेत्रत्रयाय वौषट्। ज्योतिष्ठोमात्मने नेत्रत्रयाय वौषट्। सर्वक्रत्वात्मने अस्त्राय फट्। सर्वक्रत्वात्मने अस्त्राय फट्। भूर्भुवस्सुवरोमिति दिक्बन्धः। भूर्भुवस्सुवरोमिति दिक्बन्धः। ध्यानम् आपातालनभस्थलान्तभुवन ब्रह्माण्डमाविस्फुरत्। आपातालनभस्थलान्तभुवन ब्रह्माण्डमादिस्फुरत् ज्योतिस्फाटिकलिङ्गमौळिविलसत्पूर्णेन्दुवान्तामृतैः अस्तोकाप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रानुवाकाञ्जपन् अस्तोकाप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रानुवाकाञ्जपन् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रोभिषिञ्चेच्छिवम् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रोभिषिञ्चेच्छिवम्.
In this line, please notice that in Siddhaye, there should actually be a Mahaprana. Dha, Siddhaye. There's just a small typo missing the Mahaprana. Next line.
ब्रह्माण्डव्याप्तदेहभसितहिमरुचा भासमाना भुजङ्गैः ब्रह्माण्डव्याप्तदेहभसितहिमरुचा भासमाना भुजङ्गैः कण्ठे कालाः कपर्त्ताकलितशशिकलाश् चण्डकोदण्डहस्ताः कण्ठे कालाः कपर्त्ताकलितशशिकलाश्चण्डकोदण्डहस्ताः त्र्यक्षारुद्राक्षमालाः सुललितविभूषा शाम्भवा मूर्तिभेदा त्र्यक्षारुद्राक्षमालाः सुललितविभूषा शाम्भवा मूर्तिभेदा रुद्रा श्रीरुद्रसूक्तप्रकटितविभवा नः प्रयच्छन्तु सौख्यम् रुद्रा श्रीरुद्रसूक्तप्रकटितविभवा नः प्रयच्छन्तु सौख्यम्.
And also just one small note. In this third line, starting Triyaksha Rudraksha Mala, this one section, Sulavita Vibhusha, I believe there are sometimes some variations in that section. So you may hear that chanted slightly different, whether it's in the GRD Ayers Gurukul or in the temple or any other institution. There can be some variations in that particular section. Okay. So we've come to the end of the section that I wanted to go through in today's section. So I just want to see if anybody has any questions. You can unmute yourself and ask any questions about any of the lines.
Ekdamma, Namaskaram. This is Sirisha.
Namaskaram.
I'm reading from the Telugu script, and in the Vyakya Asyamaha, the two lines on the top are not there. When you were chanting, it's Vyakya Asyamaha, right?
Yeah. So in the document, I didn't really include those that particular thing. But most people chant it that way. So
Okay.
if you want, you can put a note to chant it that way. Most people do that. I don't really have like a Vedic reference. So I try to only put swaras on things if I have a Vedic reference for that. Otherwise, I left it without swaras just to indicate that I don't know if it's from Vedas specifically or what the reference would be. But it is very common that people chant that with the double swara, the dirgha swarita.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Amma, one
no
question.
problem.
When you were doing the Atato Ruddha Snana Chana Vishega Vidim and then Prajanare Brahma Tishtatu, in between you said some lines which is not there in any of my texts. You said about 4-5 lines.
Can you tell me again which section where the lines
Sure.
were that you don't normally hear?
So before Prajanare Brahma Tishtatu, and then
Okay.
from up it is Atato Ruddha Snanar Chana Vishega Vidim Vyakya Syamaha. In between that, you said a couple of lines which is not there in my text.
Okay. Adita eva tirthe snatva ude tishutihi prayato brahmachari shuklavasa deva
Yeah.
bhastitva. Okay. Okay. So
In
I
Devanagari,
based
it
these
is there.
documents.
In
Right.
sorry
So
to
some
interrupt.
people, yes, some people might be using different documents from different
Okay.
sources, and in different traditions or lineages, they may chant these sort of preliminary sections slightly differently because we're not to actual Rudram yet.
Okay.
So Rudram doesn't really start until the first Anuvakam. In this beginning section, there can be some variations, like some people might chant different shlokas in the beginning.
Yes.
Like Shuddha
Prajanare
Sparga
Brahma
Sankasham and so on.
Tishtatu, from there it's all the same, except that maybe I'll check up with the temple script and my script if there is any difference. No problem.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just like just a variation that sometimes happens in different traditions.
Okay. No issues.
Hello, Amma. This is Raji. Namaskaram.
Namaste.
Amma,
Namaskaram.
are you going to give me the script in the Google Classroom, or do I have to find the Rudram whole thing somewhere else?
No, so the scripts, the documents that I'm using are in a folder, which I linked in the main learning Telegram group. What script do you normally read from? Which language?
Tamil.
Tamil? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that the Tamil scripts that I had done, I don't think they have the numbers on them, which indicate like ka, ka, ga, ga, and so on, because that takes a lot of effort to put in. So if you have another source that has that may be better for you, because that will tell you the correct sounds. Whereas if you use the one that I have in the folder, you won't be clear on which is ka, which is ka, and so on.
Okay. Is it possible to get the document from Google Classroom or no?
Sorry, Amma, Raji Amma, I will send you the link. It's already there in the YouTube in the description. I will give you the link also in the Telegram group. So.
Oh, thank you so much, Amma, because I don't have the previous part she chat. I have only Rudram, so that's why I'm asking. Sorry about that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
No problem.
I have a question. When you do Oshadi Vanaspatayo me Loma Sushritaha, it starts with the lower swara from the beginning. Can you just go over that a little bit more? Because sometimes
Yes.
it's very hard for me to start the lower swara and then
Yeah, actually, something that I've noticed is that anytime a line starts on the lower or the upper swara, it's more challenging.
Yeah.
Definitely, like certain aspects of the swaras are more difficult for sure. So that will take a bit of practice. And so that's one of the things that would be good to sort of spend some time on your own, like pronouncing that and starting it very slowly and then speeding up so that your throat and your vocal cords get used to that particular combination. So if you want, I can chant it and then you can repeat it back 2 times.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, Amma.
Okay. Oshadhi vanaspatayo meloma sushritaha.
Oshadhi vanaspatayo me loma sushritaha Oshadhi vanaspatayo me lomasu shrita.
Good. So the beginning part is very good. You're clearly getting out Oshadhivanas and so on. But in the section of Patayo me lomasu, it's the swaras are getting a little bit confused. Okay. So I'm going to chant this line 4 times, okay, so that everybody can hear the swaras.
Yeah.
Oshadhivanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha. Oshadhivanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha. Oshadhivanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha. Oshadhivanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha. Okay, so if we just look at starting from Patayo and just isolate that. Patayo me lomasu shritaha. Can you chant just from Patayo?
Patayo me lomasu shritaha. Patayo me lomasu shritaha.
Good, that's exactly right. So let's go from the beginning. Oshadhivanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha.
Oshadhi vanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha. Oshadhi vanaspatayo me lomasu shritaha.
Okay, it was totally perfect when you did it by itself, but in the whole line, it's the swaras are going off again in that Patayo me. Okay, so just practice isolating that section and then doing the full line.
That's
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Any other questions about any of the other lines that we did tonight?
Ektamma, I'd like you to please recite the last 2 lines because they are long and I always tend to goof up on them.
Yeah, so you mean the Dhyana shloka?
The Punarmatma Punarayuraga.
Oh, okay, that one. Yes, that's a tricky one as well. Let me go there. Punarma atma punarayuragaat. Punarma atma punarayuragaat. Punarma atma punarayuragaat. Punarma atma punarayuragaat. Punah pranah punarakutamagat. Punah pranah punarakutamagat. Punah pranah punarakutamagat. Punah pranah punarakutamagat. Did you also want the next 2 lines?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. Vaishvanaro rashmibhirvavrudhanaha. Vaishvanaro rashmibhirvavrudhanaha. Vaishvanaro rashmibhirvavrudhanaha. Vaishvanaro rashmibhirvavrudhanaha. Antastishthtvamrutasya gopaha. Antastishthtvamrutasya gopaha. Antastishthtvamrutasya gopaha.
Antastashtatvamrutasya gopaha.
So the key with these lines is to break them down syllable by syllable. And sometimes what I like to do is start from the ending of a line. And this is something that's emphasized a lot in the GRD Ayers Gurukul, to go syllable by syllable and start from the end of the line and work your way backwards. And once you do this, it'll really help you to get a line like this, which if it's habitually coming out sort of garbled or not quite right, breaking it down syllable by syllable is the best way to handle that. Do you want to try repeating it after me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'll start from Punarma. Just 1 second.
Punarma atma punarayuragaat.
Punarma atma punarayuragaat. Punarma atma punarayuragaat.
Good. Pronunciation is good. Only thing is once you get to Punarayuragat, the swaras are going a little bit wonky. So you'll just want to focus on that and even, write it out, but with dashes, like a few more dashes so that you sort of visually are breaking up the sounds a little bit. It'll make it easier for your brain to process what you're seeing. And really just look at the word, look at where the swaras are, and just go syllable by syllable to understand what should be the middle note and what should be the lower note and so on. So if you look at Punarayuragat, and we just go, I'll just go syllable by syllable very slowly.
Pu na ra yu ra Gaat pu na ra yu ra gaat.
So now I'll say that once and you can repeat just that section after me.
Punara yura gaat.
Punarayuragaat. Punarayuragaat.
First time was exactly correct, and the second one went slightly off, but that's very good. So you can see how going, just take your field of vision, narrow it down, and just look at syllable, next syllable, next syllable, and analyze each one. Where is the swara? Is this middle note? Is this lower note? Pay that attention to the swaras. Repeat that one section, and it'll definitely get better. Okay, so let's try the next line.
Punaf pranaf punarak.
Sorry, let me start over.
Punaf pranaf punarakutamagat.
Punaf pranaf punarakutamagat. Punaf pranaf punarakutamagat.
Everything's good, only the punaraku, the swaras are going off. So sometimes in your document, it also might, the swaras marks might be like slightly to one side, and that can make it hard to know which syllable it's on. So let's just look at that one section. I'll do it slowly myself.
Pu na ra pu ta pu na ra ku ta.
Now I'll do it once, then you can repeat after me.
Punarakuta.
Punarakuta. Punarakuta.
Good. First time was correct. Second time slightly off. Let's just try the whole line one more time.
Punah pranah punarakutamagaat.
Punah prana punarakutamagat. Punah prana punarakutamagat.
Very good. Second time was totally correct. Okay, so let's see, it's 9:20. So I just want to see if anyone else has any questions on any lines they want to review.
Amma, this is Rupama. Namaskaram.
No,
Amma,
no,
like
no.
when I chant Rudram, the first line, if I get that, when I start the right way, I'm able to continue. But that starting line, sometimes I'm not able to get that, start with that pitch.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah.
do I, like get that right? Sometimes I start off with a low pitch and then everything gets messed up.
Do you use a Shruti app or anything like that when you're chanting?
Not yet, Amma. No,
Okay.
I don't use any Shruti.
So one thing that can help is, maybe to develop your ear is to listen to a recording of Shruti. Like even when you're not chanting, like just play it when you're just doing anything else. And just with your mind, just focus on the sound and focus on humming along with the sound to try to match the pitch. It's really a question of practice and your brain being exposed, to that kind of an activity. Because for most of us, if we haven't been musically trained, we don't normally, stress our brains to do that kind of a thing, matching a pitch and then using our vocal cords to produce that exact pitch. So the more you can expose yourself to that, it may help. So you can play like a Shruti recording and like just really tune into that and notice the note. And if you have an app, you can actually change the notes so that you can sort of just practice matching different pitches. So that's something you might want to look at to some degree. And just the more you practice chanting, with a recording, it should help to develop that awareness of pitch, hopefully.
Amma. What Shruti do you start with, Amma?
So in the temple, we always chant D sharp. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is that the CD of Nadaswaram that we play is also in D sharp. So Aya wants to make sure that if we're chanting at the same time as the Nadaswaram CD, he wants to make sure that we're in the same pitch as the music. So that's one reason why we chant at D sharp in the temple. So that's what I always use because I like to keep myself, practicing in that same mode so that I'm ready to chant at the temple. But you can pick other Shrutis. So if you're not comfortable with that particular pitch, then when you're practicing, you would just pick any other pitch that's comfortable for you and do that.
Okay. Thank you, Amma.
Sure. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so since it's 9:20, we have about 10 minutes. So I think what I'll do is I'll go back to the beginning and chant everything once through as a final practice. So if everyone can just make sure to mute themselves, and I'll go back to the beginning.
Om Athatmanam Shivatmanam Sri Rudrarupan Dhyayet Shuddhaspatika Sankashan Trinetram Panchavakrakam Gangadharam Dashabhujam Sarvabharana Bhushitam Nilagrivam Shashankam Nagayajñopavitinam Vyaghrajarmottariyancha Varenyamabhayapradam कमण्डलवक्षसूत्राणां धारिणं शूलपाणिनं ज्वलन्तं पिङ्गलजटाशिखामुद्योतधारिणं वृषस्कन्धसमारूढम् उमादेहार्धधारिणम् अमृतेनाप्लुतं शान्तं दिव्यभोगसमन्वितम् दिक्देवता समायुक्तं सुरासुरनमस्कृतम् नित्यं च शाश्वतं शुद्धं ध्रुवमक्षरमव्ययम् सर्वव्यापिनमीशानं रुद्रं वै विश्वरूपिणम् एवं ध्यात्वा द्विजः सम्यक् ततो यजनमारभेत् अथातो रुद्रस्नानार्चनाभिषेकविधिं आख्यास्यामः आदित एव तीर्थे स्नात्वा उदेत्य शुचिः प्रयतो ब्रह्मचारी शुक्लवासा देवाभिमुखः स्थित्वा आत्मनि देवता स्थापयेत् प्रजनने ब्रह्मा तिष्ठतु पादयोर्विष्णुस्तिष्ठतु हस्तयोर्हरस्तिष्ठतु बाह्वोरिन्द्रस्तिष्ठतु जठरे अग्निस्तिष्ठतु हृदये शिवस्तिष्ठतु कण्ठे वसवस्तिष्ठन्तु वक्त्रे सरस्वती तिष्ठतु नासिकयोर्वायुस्तिष्ठतु नयनयोश्चन्द्रादित्यौ तिष्ठेताम् कर्णयोरश्विनौ तिष्ठेताम् ललाटे रुद्रास्तिष्ठन्तु मूर्ध्न्यादित्यास्तिष्ठन्तु शिरसि महादेवस्तिष्ठतु शिखायां वामदेवस्तिष्ठतु पृष्ठे पिनाकी तिष्ठतु पुरतः शूली तिष्ठतु पार्श्वयोः शिवशङ्करौ तिष्ठेताम् सर्वतो वायुस्तिष्ठतु ततो बहिः सर्वतो अग्निर्ज्वालामाला परिवृतस्तिष्ठतु सर्वेष्वङ्गेषु सर्वा देवता यथा स्थानं तिष्ठन्तु मां रक्षन्तु अग्निर्मे वाचिश्रुतः वाग्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि वायोर्मे प्राणे श्रुतः प्राणो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि सूर्यो मे चक्षुषि श्रुतः चक्षुर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि चन्द्रमा मे मनसि श्रुतः मनो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि दिशो मे श्रोत्रे श्रुताः श्रोत्रगं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आपो मे रेतसि श्रुताः रेतो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पृथिवी मे शरीरे श्रुता शरीरगं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ओषधिवनस्पतयो मे लोमसुश्रुताः लोमानि हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि इन्द्रो मे बले श्रुतः फलगं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पर्जन्यो मे मूर्ध्निश्रितः मूर्धा हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ईशानो मे मन्यो श्रितः मन्योर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आत्मनिश्रितः आत्मा हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पुनर्म आत्मा पुनरायुरागात् पुनः प्राणः पुनरागोतमागात् वैश्वानरो रश्मिभिर्ववृधानः अन्तस्तिष्ठत्वमृतस्य गोपाः ॐ अस्य श्रीरुद्राध्याय प्रश्नमहामन्त्रस्य अघोरऋषिः अनुष्टुप् सङ्कर्षणमूर्तिस्वरूपो योऽसावादित्यः परमपुरुषः स एष रुद्रो देवता नमः शिवायेति बीजम् शिवतरायेति शक्तिः महादेवायेति कीलकम् श्रीसाम्ब सदाशिव प्रसाद सिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगः ॐ अग्निहोत्रात्मने अङ्गुष्टाभ्यां नमः दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने तर्जनीभ्यां नमः चातुर्मास्यात्मने मध्यमाभ्यां नमः निरूढपशुबन्धात्मने अनामिकाभ्यां नमः ज्योतिष्टोमात्मने कनिष्ठिकाभ्यां नमः सर्वक्रत्वात्मने करतलकरपृष्ठाभ्यां नमः अग्निहोत्रात्मने हृदयाय नमः दर्शपूर्णमासात्मने शिरसे स्वाहा चातुर्मास्यात्मने शिखायै वषट् निरूढपशुबन्धात्मने कवचाय हुम् ज्योतिष्टोमात्मने नेत्रत्रयाय वौषट् सर्वक्रत्वात्मने अस्त्राय फट् भूर्भुवः सुवरोमिति दिग्बन्धः ध्यानम् आपातालनभस्थलान्तभुवन ब्रह्माण्डमाविस्फुरत् ज्योतिस्फाटिकलिङ्गमौळिविलसत्पूर्णेन्दुवान्तामृतैः अस्तोकाप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रानुवाकान् जपन् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रोऽभिषिञ्चेच्छिवम् ब्रह्माण्डव्याप्तदेहाभसितहिमरुचा भासमाना भुजङ्गैः कण्ठे कालाः कपर्ता कलितशशिकलाश्चण्डकोदण्डहस्ताः रक्षारुद्राक्षमाला सुललितविभूषा शाम्भवा मूर्तिभेदा रुद्रा श्रीरुद्रसूक्तप्रकटितविभवा नः प्रयच्छन्तु सौख्यम्.
Okay. Let me just check the chat to see if there's a question. In the intro chat, is it Shikha Madhyo or Shikha Madhyo? Shikha Madhyo. Let me go back to the beginning and check that.
Hi, Amma. I had asked that question. So
Okay.
in the Adhatmanam Shivatmanam, that one, I'm trying to look at Jwalantam Pingala Jata Shikha Madhyo. I have always chanted it as Shikha Madhyo. Is it Shikha Mudhyo?
As far as I know, it's Shikha Mudyota. It may be coming from Shikam Udyota Harinam. So my understanding is that it is Udyota, Udyota. And there's no Mahapranadha, it's Udyota. Shikam Udyota.
Shikam Udyoda. Okay.
Udyota. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So any final questions before we end the session? Okay. Right, so
Amma, I'm Nirupama here. I'm referring to the temple Devanagari script. So I'm assuming that there's no error in that, other than that in one place you said that top one line was missing.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
I'm referring to the document which you uploaded in the Telegram, the Google Drive Rudram document. So I've downloaded and I'm referring to that. So I'm hoping there's no error in that, right? In Devanagari script. So far you have chanted, I didn't notice any error. Only in one place you
There's-
said the top line is missing, only in one place. That's it, right?
Yes. So there are a couple of places where there may be a small error. So, but I will check that and I'll respond back in the Telegram group. Because I had prepared these like a couple of years ago for the initial class, and I may have made a couple typos here and there. So I will take a look, and if there is anything else, I'll make a note of that in the Telegram group.
Thank you, Amma. Because I've downloaded all the documents, I'm referring to that. As we were chanting, I was referring to that.
Sure, no problem. Okay. All right, so
Dhanyavad,
we'll
Dhanyavad.
end the class here. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thanks everyone for joining. And next week we'll start with the next section, the next document, Anuvakam 1. So Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you very much.
Shri Guru
Thank you so much, Amma.